authorities allow its people to buy assets across provinces. Which is when I ask you why and why not, right? The conditions after the recently the problem, for example, the properties in China. Secondly, to buy house is easier. No, it's more difficult than buying cars. So they allow you in one province to buy the other car, right? In other province, easier than buying a house. I have 6 or 7 houses that has been limited of purchasing if you did not choose. For example, you know Humuko, that's been the system that what state or province that you want in China, right? You want in Yangon, for example, it's not in Mandalay. You have to focus on some of the property in Mandalay. Now they allow you to buy something even in Mandalay, in somewhere else in China. Thailand about the same, right? We are in Chiang Mai, we can buy house and something in Phuket and stay with Nene, okay, to show, to let her perform like a zombie, stuff like, right? That's from ATT. She's very famous right now in American Got Talent. So you can buy property easier than before after 2023 in China, Chengdu, Chongqing, Wuhan, or Xi'an. Have you been there? Right? And Hefei, right? Shenzhou, Sangsha, and Kunming. So I'm gonna buy all of my house in those provinces soon. That's it. If you allow me to buy, which means you have to pay me money, but I don't have enough money. And also some specific place. Guess which city that's most difficult to have a house in China? Beijing is special. Not only for the foreign people, only for, even your Chinese people as well. So Shanghai and some of the main cities, I have evidence show that even you have money to buy, but you have to prove house, not car. Okay? That maybe show some of the number of years that you work, stuff like that. They have some of the requirement on that criteria. So stop on those things for examples. So let's get back to the story of the human capital. I'm gonna remind you that we have a production functions from last time. Hopefully that some students who did not show in this class can understand from what I'm gonna present right now. If you understand, don't tell them. Labor is important. You have to understand labor and bring the labor theory to answer midterm exam. You will be just fine. Demand and supply, equilibrium. Demand shifts, supply shifts. We're going to talk about that later. And secondly, we're going to introduce today about the role of the capital, K, and how K is so important. You know K, right? Capital. Labor, L. Both of them create output, which is represented by Y. Okay? Y is a function of capital and the labor. That's called production function. Keep these in mind for midterm exam. If you have nothing to worry, production function. But make sure that you have some of. If you cook, right, you can cook anything you like, but make sure that you cook better than the others. By having appetizer like, oh, this is an increasing return to scale. Understand this? A constant return to scale, law of diminishing marginal productivity. Those kind of we call ingredients. So don't tell me production function and full stop. is explained by having more technical terms, right, in those kind of things. I'm sure that you are now under the senior year of Chiang Mai University, right, in our faculty. You've been familiar with this thing like return to scale. Increasing return to scale, economy of scale, complex function, stuff like that. Oh, I will be happy to read those kind of technical terms in my paper. Well, if you keep following my PowerPoint that rather for more information, we have the thing called demographic. Demographic is a type that shows that the characters of its population, China. When we mention quantity, the more the better, right? The money, yeah, the more the better. But actually, it depends on the real value. Agree or disagree? Like follow my lecture. The real values of the human capital depends on its productivity. Right? You and me are about the same. We can hear, we can listen, we are human beings, we can sleep, we're angry, we're happy. But what kind of productivity? We get the same amount or slightly. But if you're standing on the other side of the river, you are the firm, you are the owner of the company. What you want, you pay them as a labor, both are the same. How can I evaluate that? Which one is better? Either of them. Mr. X or Mr. Y. How can I know that you is better than him or her? Which means in one fixed amount of time, you have to work better than the other. Am I right? The speed of working. 100 meters, you run faster. That's why you hit the finish line. So productivity means having about the same, but you are higher than the others. That's called its productivity. Then the company or the owner, they did not pay for the special. They pay the same amount. Okay, come back to China. When Chinese economy realized that from 700 million people, half of them are better than other 50%. How can they realize? We call a demographic dividend. You know the meaning of dividend? A money that paid, right, off to you from the same amount. When you have 100, you get, put money in the bank, you get the returns, and you buy some stock, you get its dividend buys from your investment per year. That's called the dividend. But as a population, how can we get the dividend? How Chinese, as a country or economy, proud of the Chinese labor. If him or her has more productivity, okay, smarter, wiser, and work less but gain more. Work less hours but gain more, or work the same amount but let's spend time on that amount of time. It's called a demographic dividend of Chinese economy, which was happened 1990s up to 2010. I'm getting, I should have said older, less younger. Okay. I ran faster 20 years ago. I can stay a little bit late at night. Or I can drink liquor for the whole night. But now, I cannot do that. Which means the demographic dividend of its these Chinese people come from? What? Drinking multi? No. The Muslims. Right? The average age of its people was so young. The average age of the Chinese labor for 700 million was average about 20 years old, 25 years old, which is young, which means without you, they don't care, they pick someone else. That is the benefit of demographic dividend of China. You get this point? The productivity increased. Next is labor. Young labor. More energy, stay late, and it has demand from outside of China. Said that Chinese, we need you. Can you make this product? Chinese said yes. How much? And we want it quickly. We want this order. Yes, hey, and we produce. That's why the people who enter into special economic zone earn extra money from overtime work. Can you stay late a little bit? 20 years old, can you work 2 hours more? I pay you special. That's why we call OT. Since then, significantly or rapidly of the money come from the world because this is the period of globalization. Can you think about what kind of index that you shows that the globalization is linked? We born in year 2000, right? First day that we born, remember what happened? But 20 years later, I don't know how many real notebooks that you have, but I saw most of you have electronic notebook called iPad. Technology is faster. Year 2000, first time that the company, I couldn't remember, but there was got the order that produced iPhone for me in China. Can you produce Apple products for me in China? That company is from Taiwan. If you can name it, the company that got the contract that produced. However, it was increasing of demand, right, of those electronics from outside. So China becoming the things called the world factory. Since then, every electronics parts, the products flood out of China in every kind of price. It doesn't matter how much you pay, we have that price. Right? You want lowest price? Yes, we do have. That's what special economic zones under the planned economy has served the world. Those model period has done by export led growth model. You know X, right? Export led LED. X increase, Y increase. Now you have other variable. Trade increase, GDP increase. How much? We don't know. It depends on a multiplier. Close your eye and think about what is the meaning of multiplier. K. Not the K, right? KX. Export multiplier. Once you create export, the money create some of the circular flows of money and the GDP increase. I showed you last time about international reserve, right, of China. That was climbed up significantly and rapidly. And because of the world getting richer. Globalization means the world is better than before. Back into the year 2000, less war, more peace. Right? They don't have any conflicts between Russia and Ukraine yet. They don't have any problem between China and US about trade, war. They're good friends. Thailand, Japan, Korea, we boom. Economic boom. A flood of money, right? Went to Myanmar, 2012. 10 years out, but you ready because you got the money from outside. 10 years later. So all the things seem to be less problem, but more opportunity. FDI move around the world. Okay, I'm done now. Chinese people send their kids outside. Some of them are sitting with me here in Thailand. But previously, they were sent to US, America, buy some luxury brands in France, okay, in London, buy some properties, buying house. They support a lot of things to the world. 2007, global crisis. China non-stop producing and buying. Easier. People don't have money. They want to buy cheap product. How China respond? You give basket. We also have cheap, and you can survive. International reserve, which is come from money, increased higher than before since 2007. You need to look at the PowerPoint. I remember everything in there. Not exactly the same that I do of that. You just go back home and look at the graph by yourself. Now I create the movie for you. Alright? So we have export, create GDP. GDP grow up in China. And rich family, middle income has been grab more money and send their kids outside. Younger generation, higher education, increase in human capital of China. Speak fluently English, capability to get into Harvard or MIT. Some of them work overseas, some of them went back home. That was the story of China in the historical way of explanation. Next, something happened. '90s, 1980s, they're 20 years old. But 2025, how many years passed? That's the most important thing for China after 40 years. So when you were 20, right, plus 40 years, now you become 60 years old. The dividend of Chinese people has been declining. Make sense? Can you have specific vocabulary for me when you're getting old? Nothing more than old, huh? Elderly people? How about aging people? Japan, China, Thailand. We're now having China send story of medical, hospitals, pills, surgeries, cancers. Right? Food, stuff like that. You can see more of demand for the people who want to go to see the doctor more than go to have something for fun. They go to have some exercise more than hang out with friends. And people care about their health more than right before. have so many types of foods fly up in this kind of we call the system. I did not touch AI yet, okay? I did not touch about technology yet. I'm talking about this kind of people has been the average age. The birth rate has been declining of China. Birth rate of Chinese people decline. They have more people, but it's not increasing rate as before. I think last time I asked some of you that you are one or two. Tell me how many people in your family, in fact, sister or brothers? No, just one, right? Golden child. Yeah. And the government of China allow and relax the condition just like buying house and car that, yeah, you can have more kids. The response never come out from the family, but inside them is it was too late. Because cost of having one more child, right? The marginal money that paid cost is higher than the returns. Because you already, pay for them so much back into the period that you have for like just what our student just mentioned. How many brothers and sisters you have? Only one, right? Two. Okay. Twins? No. No. But back then it was like prohibited. But after this, that's a condition. They encourage this kind of policy even in Singapore. Singapore that encourage its family to have some subsidy and bonus for study. And right now, which country has the share, the youngest average youth of labor in Asia? In Asia. Not Thailand. Thailand has passed. Singapore forward. Vietnam. Same model as the Chinese. That's why last time I talked and asked you about the name of the city that people like you to visit. Okay? Tourism industry boom. We have K-pop, right? Soon you will see K-pop. They're slimmer, taller, higher than before. Look at sports. See the sports. If they can compete us, that means the muscles getting stronger than before. Right? For the world level, you see China, not South Korea, and also China. Sorry, not in the football, right? But volleyball is so tall. Okay, so let's move on and see this is some of the declining trend of human capital. So most of them are the story that one-child policy has been removed. So I will not ask you about the history, but I ask you about why and how that the model changed. Number one, the productivity of labor declined. And you are the new generation of Chinese labor. Hopefully, you get job in China. What about the condition of jobs in China? Job market is so tight, right? They don't have job as many as before. Don't worry. Throughout the world have those kind of things. What we are worrying about is why they have less demand for labor than last decade. Can you give some of the good examples? The machine can come and replace us at some points. AI can work, more efficiency than human beings, or you don't need someone to pick you up. There was unmanned vehicles. There was startup in Shenzhen, right? And move around by no driver in that car, which is maybe in the future, but even now we can see less of the demand for labor. So let's prepare for jobs that you are not directly finished with your degree. For the first time, economics. I want to be the bankers. I want to be the sum of things. But sorry, sir. Fool. Right? We are about to get rid of someone instead of we inject someone in. That's the reject more than inject. Some of the full-time staff has been stopped, and now job market use kind of contract. Year by year, look at your performance, look at your efficiency. If you are good, then we push you ahead. If not, sorry, maybe you have to think harder, blah blah. Which unit in Chiang Mai have the most efficiency kind of contract? I'm thinking too. So when I draw the question, it doesn't mean that why you ask me so much, but I try you to think, ask a question and answer. Q&A. That was the step of moving you in the ecosystem of work. What next? And they said, why ask ChatGPT? Let's say without ChatGPT, right? No battery, that too. And you have to answer your boss. Can you tell me, if I want to hire someone here, what kind of jobs and what kind of labor I should? So let's ask some of the lovely things. If I hire you to work in Chiang Mai University, you want to work? If I pay you, work. Right? Can Chiang Mai University open something 24 hours a day? I already give you a hint. Which company open 24/7? Dash 11. They hire these people by hour. Right? If you tired, exhausted, we can replace it with someone else. That's what to operate the system of work. So if you do things about wisdom, 8:30 until 4:30. Sorry, that's it. Right? Because that is an efficient hour. But the money keep moving. Who steal the money? It's in here. Stealing. Every second, right? Your behavior change. Okay? So maybe someone listening to our, we have to speak quiet and wise. Alright? So Chinese mentioned something. AI has still the opportunities for us because every dot that we push has been popped up by machine learning. Machine learns more than human being. That is a system. That's why machine learning is a new trend of economics. The dot. So to be the dot, it's so important to listen to it. Let's come to the model that I put in infographic. ICOR is relation. IC come from incremental rate. Incremental rate of capital. A ratio between K over L, K over Y. K capital over Y is the output. Did you study 4 or 5? Economic development. You know two guys named Harold and Wilmer. Harold and Wilmer said that output comes from saving. The GDP comes from saving. Says S, saving. Saving create investment. S equal I, right? Saving leakage, I injection. S, which is the additional number deduct after consumption out of income of your household. Macro model chapter 3, page number 69. Right? YD equals C plus S. Your household income equal to consumption plus saving. And since function have the marginal propensity to consume and save, respectively. Right. Okay, that was the turning point. How can you get to saving? Don't look at me. I have the same problem. I don't know how can I get saving too. Because right now I spend more than my income. Can you give me your Tony, you think 8 years here you have a lot of saving in some million. No. Minus. Yeah. Some of my students come and said, Ajahn, can you sign for me? And it was like something called student loan. Same situation, right? In the US, they have some of the plan called student loan. That means it's overspending. So how can China, as a country or economy, have very high saving among the world? Top of the world saving. It was something like said, Chinese people love to save. Maybe like not in your generation, but if and only if you have your kids. Am I right? You are one child, someone saves for you. Am I right? You may, oh, I don't know, I have to ask my dad. I realized that my parents did not pay me by the saving. 10 years after I finished my degree. I'm not proud at that level because they said, I borrowed money for you. Understand? Some land has been sold to let someone study. So can we call some study as investment? That's why education is not consumption. Education is an investment. It was I, not C. Okay, like the sign. You are in that loop. I used to be that. I skipped many classes. I drank a lot. Just like some of you today. But the kids, that's the world, you know. That's the world. But the turning point is when you stop. That is something that Chinese economy, some of them realize that I should stop before it was too late. Some of them said, I'm chill, because my parents still have enough money. Some of information has been hidden because they want to hurt their kids. Sorry, but that's the truth, right? So don't be too proud of this generation, because it's easy to get money, but you just realize that why it was so hard to get money. That means we borrow so much of the money from the future. And Chinese save a lot of money from this behavior. Okay? And also they buy some properties, buy some stocks. That is another thing. Okay. Can you buy gold? Yes. Gold is also called money. It is gold, right? But the most liquidity asset is cash. Cash, gold, car, iPad, house. There's no difficult to answer why we have so many Myanmar labor buy these items in Thailand, back home. They can liquidate or sell easier. Ironically, you heard about this one? This kind of output has been subsidized by our neighboring labors, not Thai labors. New car is not brought by Thai people. It's brought by neighboring friends. That's what our GDP of Thailand is not come from 100% from Thailand. Right? We have two GDP and GNP. Am I right? So I did not get out of the loop of economics. China have money inside and outside. They invest abroad. They go buy properties. You have house in Chiang Mai, you have cars in Thailand, you have house in Singapore, buy one get one free somewhere. Buy the property markets. And that is a story about ICOR in China. K over Y can show that the less the better. Why the less ratio? You put the capital amount over output, which means if you pay the money so much for the K, but you still get the small Y, which means you pay too much investment, right? It should be less. Then you can get higher Y. China now having higher ICOR. It has to be true because number one, labor getting older. Number two, what about K? Depreciation. I am about to point something, but she's still my answer. Damn. Depreciation of the capital. The machine is getting old, 10 years old. Old. Right? Now, how long that you use your previous iPhone edition? It shows that it was fast 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even you buy today. Well, it's very, very super, efficiency, right? But after some months, there was something happened, and so on and so forth. Cake start depreciating. That's why you need what? New cake, which has to be less. I'm trying to think what kind of cake. Japan. Is anyone from Japan? No? Alright. We can talk behind the back a little bit. Have you heard about any machines as a Japanese brand. Equipment, heavy duty, construction, Komatsu. You heard about this brand? Not Isuzu. Okay? We don't have that brand in Thai. We have Kubota, right? But it's for making for farms. You see a lot in Myanmar. But it's not in Myanmar. Where? Cheese, Kachin, China, Jade. So many things, many stories, many countries. Right? Don't think that we want to talk about that, but that's a true story. In Myanmar, because the equipment that have to dig down to get the jade, the gold, and right now rare earth. You know rare earth, right? Rare earth that's so important for AI industry. China did not have enough. That's some of the inputs that used for to speed up the level of the machine in AI industry. That's why the topics that you are selected has pros and cons, good and the bad. So economics is the angel and the devil same time. That is economics. Give you anything. You want to be the good guy or the bad guy, depends. The good guy win the Nobel Prize, right? The bad guy maybe end up in jail, like scam. That's based on the trending. It's about the same thing, you know. And in right? This truck, or they also have the machine, just like Komatsu. You know Caterpillar? Cat. US. That's why you have cat on your hat. No LA. Cat on the heavy toe of your boot to protect. Okay, when you go to the construction site. Each country that has the good name has the carry forward. Germany, no doubt about it, there was good machine. Right? German is also have something called the empire of the world. You know this? If you drive the car, you should know. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Audi. Most of the products of the world have bearings. Does it have bearing in here? Every materials that make circle, you need to reduce the heat. You need to wheel, you need to roll the tires. The plane, so fast. Right? don't care about hot or cold weather. You need the barrier. In the snow, you want a snowmobile. In Pattaya, you need, right, for playing surfing. Japan, the company name Kawasaki. Also, take control, called monopoly. During the snow, you want some of the, cut the tree, right? That was probably during the winter. You also need salt, stuff like that. Cane is so important. Thus, we have the problem with the big tree right now. During the rainy season, don't park your car in or under the big tree in Chiang Mai University. It's so dangerous. Am I right? Get away from that harm, Tony. You have Mercedes-Benz, I heard that. No. Play around, see sometimes. Sorry about that. Okay? Anyone from Bangkok? We have a train station named Bern. Yes. That's from Germany, investment of factory. Located right there. What kind of investment of Germany in Thailand? Machine and beer. Right? That's why you have Qingdao, German town. You know Qingdao, right? In Shandong. Story of German town, UK town, US town, Chiang Mai. But in Thailand, we also have Qingdao. Sorry, I did not have anything to mention more than visual or building. Okay, all right. So that was the story of investment long time ago. I think also in Myanmar as well. And Myanmar, we also have long time ago invested by some foreign company. K, so important. I talk about L and talk about K. ICOR has been declining. So what is the next? What we need is A or AI. But I don't think that was the end of the world variable. Maybe people go back to the origin. We have so much of AI. Have you ever heard about any people that try to get away from those kind of technologies? They don't have the email account, they don't have anything, don't call me, just come to my house. In the US, that's about how much people? You know how much? Get away from those machines. No electricity, just organic food, no school. Sometimes, in extreme case, people are better off. You don't need to contact people, that means you get more happiness. I don't know if that was a good word, out of sight, out of mind. Okay? Nothing to hurt, nothing to worry. Nothing to hear, I don't give a damn. In American mean like, I don't care. Isolated. This was a new term called introvert, extrovert. There are so many things that happen. But for me, I said I don't care. I mean, in economics, I don't care you what. Make the other things constant. And then, just you and me. Right? Just you and me, we differentiate y against x and vice versa. That's what we call partial equilibrium. You cannot win the universe, but you can win someone's heart. Right? Let's try to steal someone's heart first, and then we can win the universe. Economics, that's true. They make a classical theory by put the other thing constant. And then you, if derivative of x against y. That's what demand equations do. Why is it better for China? China managed domestic more than open. That means they keep the other thing constant first. Right? Then they said, I'm open now. I'm select X first. I'm select Z, Y, and something, and bring them back. Import some of the materials. And create its own thing called Chinese technologies. They bring technology from Germany, from England, from Japan, from Korea. Soon after, Korea left. Samsung, oh, I don't want to invest here, it's too high cost of labor. You know who stepped in? Huawei. So that was replaced by Chinese brand. I still doubt about now when someone mentioned, I don't know how many cars brand in China right now. Can you imagine how many cars brand in China? EV is so many, right? Toyota, Honda, we know. But EV, I couldn't remember the name of the EV from China in Thailand as well. Chang'an, Xpeng, BYD is okay, but there's so many as well. For Thailand, we don't have any. We just buy them all. That's what we consume. So our region, including Myanmar, based on import more than export. Okay. We sell raw materials, we sell agriculture, but we do not sell technology yet. That's what the end of my presentation. To do something against Y, you have to find a new K. And China is now doing that. We call it new normal of Chinese economy. It started in 2016, before COVID. So new normal is not from COVID of China. New normal of China comes from a new era of economy. So now you got the second variables, right? Production function, K, L, ICOR, dig down into my PowerPoint, put it in AI, explain by yourself, prepare for the midterm exam, find some graphs, go for it. And then the second assignment will come based on this. Thank you very much. Enjoy your sleeping after the meeting. Thank you. That's it for today's lecture. Anyone want to start? Thank you.